Hey everyone! Welcome to the Bold and Beautiful 24. I'm Alessio, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Bold and Beautiful, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. Bill's revenge on Luna. Remy's Deke appears. The Bold and the Beautiful update for the week of September 15th to 19th reveals that Bill Spencer will want revenge on Luna Nozawa while Sheila Sharp panics over a secret spilling. B&B fans know Luna just popped up at Remy Price's place, which neither one of them was expecting. It was a happy accident as far as Luna's concerned since she needs a place to hide out for a while. However, Remy is still trying to process the fact that Luna's alive and doesn't want to get caught up in more drama. Luna may not be allowed to stay since she's such a wrecking ball and could drag Remy into another round of trouble. We should mention that Remy has a boyfriend named Deke, so he could play a role in why Luna gets the boot from the apartment, too. Deke is an aspiring fashion designer with a link to a major character, so he could be Deacon Sharp's son with Becky Moore now that little D Sharp is all grown up. One way or another, Luna will end up facing the music with Bill, Katie Logan, while Spencer and Lee Finnegan all gathered around her. That's when Lee will get updates on Luna taking advantage of plastered Will after the party, so she'll totally lose it. Lee's fierce side will come out and lead to her grabbing Luna by the throat, so she'll nearly strangle her own granddaughter. Naturally, Lee will probably stop at the last moment, but she will remain furious and be prepared to pay Luna. Katie, Will and especially Bill will want Luna to suffer consequences as well. There's a good chance Bill will make a speech and basically spell out that it's time for his revenge. Bill previously arranged Luna's pardon, but he'll take great pleasure in wanting to send her back to prison in light of everything that's happened. Although Bill pulled strings to help Luna last time around, he might plan to use his money, power and connections to keep her locked up forever now. Since Luna is the kind of woman who always has a few more tricks up her sleeve, we'll have to wait and see if she still manages to fake being pregnant. A real one might even be possible if Luna simply took the other tests too soon to get a positive result. As for Sheila, she'll realize the news about Luna's survival has leaked along with all the Will chaos. It should leave Sheila terrified that Lee or Luna might divulge her knowledge of the whole ordeal. If he discovers what Sheila has been concealing from him, the marriage she has with Deacon could end in disaster. That said, it seems Luna and Lee may keep their mouths shut about Sheila's part in all this for the time being. Other B&B spoilers say Thomas Forrester will put Brooke Logan on full blast for marrying Ridge Forrester as fast as possible. It won't even seem real to Thomas, but Ridge will offer confirmation and admit it was his idea to tie the knot right there in the office. Ridge will have his work cut out for him when it comes to settling Thomas down after this sudden wedding announcement. Taylor Hayes will also face off with Eric Forrester and basically warn that Ridge could live to regret his choice. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Eric will remain hopeful about Brooke and Ridge's long-term future. Thomas carted off to psychiatric facility. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers reveal that we have to ask, is Thomas Forrester headed for a psychiatric facility? Thomas is obviously having a mental health setback that many B&B fans feel must be addressed. The trouble started when Thomas basically spelled out for Ridge Forrester what would happen if he let Taylor Hayes down again. Thomas opened up about feeling lost in his personal life as well as his professional one. Between ending his engagement with Paris Buckingham and not having a real purpose in his career, Thomas has really been struggling. Thomas emphasized the significance of Ridge and Taylor's reunion, which Ridge has since snatched away from. Thomas made it clear that he couldn't handle Taylor and Ridge's split, so his warning may come true. Of course, it makes sense for Ridge to follow his heart. Ridge may be a jerk who doesn't treat women well, but he has the right to make his own decisions. Ridge certainly doesn't need to stay with a woman he doesn't want just to keep Thomas from going off the rails. Thomas requires real assistance if he is that mentally unstable. This may be even more evident now that Thomas is becoming increasingly sinister and focusing on Brooke's responsibility. Thomas just threatened Brooke in the design office and will have another major outburst in the September 15th episode. After Thomas gets updates on Ridge and Brooke tying the knot, he'll blow his top. Thomas will go as far as accusing Brooke of lying and will push Ridge to tell him this remarriage didn't happen. Naturally, Ridge will confirm he indeed said, "I do," to Brooke and plans on being with her forever. There's no predicting what Thomas will do once Ridge's news sinks in, so Brooke could be in grave danger. Regardless, Thomas is way too invested in his father's love life and way too obsessed with Brooke being some master manipulator who's ruined everything. Whatever Thomas made in his mental health journey has gone right out the window. Thomas has undergone therapy, but he may need more than the help he's received in the past. Should Thomas get treatment at a psychiatric facility? If Thomas does something to prove he's a danger to himself or others, an intervention may be necessary. Bill Spencer's revenge plot against Luna Nozawa began to boil over like molten lava beneath the surface of an already fractured family, and the week of September 15th to 19th on The Bold and the Beautiful promised the kind of combustible storytelling that soap fans live for, especially as Luna stumbled unexpectedly into Remy Price's cramped apartment. A move that at first seemed like a happy accident for the desperate young woman, but quickly revealed itself to be a ticking time bomb ready to explode. In every direction, Remy, caught between his own shock at Luna's survival and his desperate desire to stay clear of further chaos, was left stunned and conflicted, and though Luna viewed her sudden reappearance in Remy's life as a stroke of salvation, a place to hide out until she figured out her next move, Remy himself realized that taking her in might not just disrupt his fragile personal life but might also drag him into Bill Spencer's crosshairs, a dangerous place that nobody willingly entered. The situation became even messier with the arrival of Remy's boyfriend Deke, an ambitious, sharp-tongued aspiring fashion designer whose very name carried legacy weight since speculation began immediately to swirl that he was none other than Deacon Sharp's long-absent son with Becky Moore, Little D, all grown up, reinvented, and now positioned on the canvas as both a romantic foil for Remy and a potential catalyst for drama stretching back to the Forrester and Sharp families alike. Deke's presence was not just about complicating Luna's already fragile footing but about carving out his own role, with his suspicions about Luna's motives threatening to push Remy into making a painful choice, one that could lead to Luna being tossed out of her only safe haven, forcing her back into the unforgiving grip of Bill Spencer, Katie Logan, Will Spencer, and the ever-fierce Lee Finnegan, all of whom were soon to gather for a confrontation destined to become legendary in B&B's turbulent history of family blow-ups and moral reckonings. The fallout from Will's drunken vulnerability at the party and Luna's alleged exploitation of that moment became the firestarter for Lee's rage, and when she heard the details, Lee's fury bubbled into a full eruption as she lunged for Luna, her hands tightening around her granddaughter's throat in a chilling echo of the generational curses that seemed to haunt families on this soap, a near strangulation that symbolized both Lee's disgust and her tragic inability to reconcile her medical ethics with her maternal instincts, though at the very last possible second Lee stopped herself from going too far, trembling with rage as she pulled back, still vowing to see Luna pay. Katie and Will stood in shock, their emotions running from horror to vindication, while Bill, steel-eyed and smoldering with rage, made a speech that rang through the room like a gavel slamming down in a courtroom. He had once pulled strings, leveraged political favors, and greased the wheels of power to arrange Luna's pardon, believing at the time it was a chance at redemption, but now, in the wake of betrayal and humiliation, he was prepared to undo every ounce of goodwill he had ever extended, promising not just prison but a lifetime of suffering, and with his money, power, and limitless connections, Bill made it clear that he could and would lock Luna away forever. Yet Luna, ever the schemer and survivor, wasn't without her own arsenal of tricks and whispers about a possible pregnancy, whether genuine or fabricated, hung over the gathering like a storm cloud, with the potential to complicate everything, since Bill's quest for revenge would hit a moral snag if an unborn Spencer heir were involved. Meanwhile, in the shadows of this chaos, Sheila Carter, known now by her married name Sheila Sharp, grew increasingly panicked as the news of Luna's survival and the Will scandal spread, because it threatened to expose Sheila's own secrets in the matter, a revelation that could detonate her fragile marriage with Deacon Sharp and cost her the only semblance of stability she had ever grasped in her tumultuous life. Sheila's fear was palpable, her paranoia gnawing at her like rats in the walls, and though Lee and Luna both carried knowledge of Sheila's hidden role in this debacle, for now it seemed they were too consumed by their own war to spill the truth, leaving Sheila in temporary reprieve but trembling at the edge of exposure. Elsewhere, the canvas shifted to another battlefield as Thomas Forrester spiraled in response to the shock news that Ridge Forrester had remarried Brooke Logan in an impulsive, office-side ceremony that left Thomas feeling gutted, betrayed, and dangerously unstable, his fury at Brooke fueling accusations that she had manipulated Ridge once again, robbing Taylor Hayes of her chance at lasting love. Taylor, for her part, squared off with Eric Forrester, warning that Ridge's rash decision would come back to haunt him. While Thomas's behavior grew increasingly erratic, his obsession with Ridge and Brooke's relationship consuming him to the point where whispers began about whether Thomas might require institutionalization once again, with some characters openly wondering if a psychiatric facility was the only option left to curb his destructive impulses. The storm inside Thomas was reminiscent of his past dark spirals. with therapy having seemingly failed to address the deeper wounds, and now his threats against Brooke, his refusal to accept Ridge's choices, and his increasingly sinister demeanor all raised the terrifying possibility that he could lash out violently, putting Brooke, and perhaps others, directly in harm's way. Ridge, torn between following his heart and managing his son's fragile mental state, insisted that he couldn't chain himself to a relationship with Taylor out of pity or fear of Thomas's breakdown. But his decision may well have lit the fuse on an explosion nobody could contain. In short, the week ahead on The Bold and the Beautiful promised a convergence of multiple ticking time bombs: Bill's vendetta against Luna fueled by paternal rage, Remy and Deke's romantic tension and family connections threatening to reshape the canvas, Sheila's desperate bid to keep her secrets buried, and Thomas's unraveling mental health threatening to spiral into full-blown tragedy. All set against the backdrop of Ridge and Brooke's controversial remarriage and Taylor's fury that history was repeating itself yet again, leaving fans bracing for a cascade of confrontations, betrayals, hospital runs, courtroom battles, and possibly even funerals, because in Los Angeles, nothing stays hidden, no crime goes unpunished, and no love story remains untouched by madness, manipulation, and revenge.